Ma'am, cardiac emergency, 14 Crestview Court. Open the gate. That resident has an outstanding HOA balance. I cannot authorize entry. This is a life-threatening emergency. You are blocking emergency services. HOA policy applies to all vehicles. The balance must be cleared first. We are documenting this. HOA President Brenda. Vance intercepted a responding ambulance at the Shady Canyon Estate security gate on Orchard Hills Drive. She informed the paramedics that the resident at 14 Crestview Court had an unpaid HOA balance. She claimed the $950 balance meant gate access for service vehicles required board authorization. She was entirely unwilling to provide this authorization until the account was cleared. She stood at that gate with her clipboard and her lanyard, while 2 paramedics and a driver sat in an ambulance. They were forced to sit there, watching the clock move while a man's life hung in the balance. What she didn't know was that the $950 balance was the result of a billing error. The board had been notified about this error in writing 3 months earlier. She didn't know a neighbor's doorbell camera had captured the entire exchange with full audio. The obstruction of emergency services charge she was about to face carried a mandatory minimum sentence. No HOA title in any state had ever successfully shielded anyone from this specific charge. Elias Thorne, 61, a retired civil engineer, had spent 30 years working on massive infrastructure projects. He had lived at 14 Crestview Court in the Shady Canyon Estates subdivision of Irvine, California, for 6 years. Shady Canyon Estates was an upscale gated community located in Orange County. The entrance had a staff security booth, and the lawns were maintained by a professional service. The home sat behind enough landscaping that neighbors could go weeks without seeing each other. Elias had chosen the neighborhood specifically for its quiet. He had spent 3 decades on loud construction sites and wanted nothing more than stillness when he finally stopped working. He had been experiencing chest tightness for 2 days before his wife, Martha, called 911 on a Thursday evening in late January. The call was logged at 7:41 p.m. by the Orange County Fire Authority. A 2-person paramedic unit was dispatched from the nearest station on Culver Drive with an estimated arrival time of 6 minutes. They made it to the Shady Canyon Estate security gate in 5. That is exactly where Brenda Vance was waiting. Brenda, 56, had been HOA president of Shady Canyon Estates for 7 consecutive years. She had built a notorious reputation among the residents. Most described her in careful language when they thought she might be listening. She was controlling, retaliatory, and possessed an absolute certainty that her authority extended further than any law. She acted like her position was above state statutes and common human decency. She had been in a billing dispute with Elias Thorne for 3 months over a $950 charge he had formally contested. He identified it as a duplicate assessment. The board had acknowledged his dispute in an email and promised a review. Brenda had never completed that review. Instead, she placed his account in arrears. She flagged it in the community access system. This is how she knew exactly whose address the ambulance was heading to when it pulled up to the gate. She stepped out of the security booth immediately. Before we go further, what city or country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where you're tuning in from. And if you believe no unpaid HOA bill should block an ambulance, hit that like and subscribe button and join us here on Care and Conflict. The lead paramedic, a 10-year veteran named Carter, leaned out of the passenger window and spoke directly to Brenda. He told her they were responding to a cardiac emergency at 14 Crestview Court and needed immediate gate access. Brenda told him the resident had an outstanding HOA balance of $950. She claimed the gate access policy required all accounts to be in good standing before service vehicles could be authorized entry. Carter looked at her for a moment and then told her again, slower this time. He explained that this was a medical emergency and a man inside the community was experiencing severe chest pain. Brenda told him she understood that, but the policy applied equally to absolutely everyone. Carter radioed his dispatch and reported the obstruction. His partner climbed out of the ambulance and walked toward the gate panel. He wanted to see if there was an override option for emergency services. Brenda stepped in front of the panel. She told him the override required a board authorization code that only she possessed. She had no intention of providing it until the matter was fully resolved. The ambulance driver called the Orange County Fire Authority directly and reported that access was being blocked by an HOA representative. The dispatcher told them police were being sent to the location. A neighbor named Eleanor Higgins, who lived at 9 Orchard Hills Drive, heard the ambulance pull up. She walked outside to see what was happening. She pulled out her phone and started filming the scene. She saw Brenda standing between the gate panel and the paramedic. She did not say anything. She just filmed. The ambulance still had its lights running, and the gate was still completely closed. Brenda was explaining HOA policy with her clipboard to 2 people in uniform. They were just trying to reach a man having a cardiac episode 6 minutes away on foot. The obstruction lasted 8 full minutes. During that time, Martha was inside 14 Crestview Court on the phone with the 911 dispatcher. The dispatcher was telling her to keep Elias calm and that help was on the way. She didn't know help was at the gate. She did not know the delay had nothing to do with traffic. It had everything to do with a billing dispute her husband had contested 3 months earlier. 2 Orange County Sheriff's deputies finally arrived. They reached the gate at 7:54 p.m. One deputy instructed Brenda to open the gate immediately. She began explaining the HOA policy. The deputy told her a second time to open the gate or face immediate arrest. Brenda entered the authorization code. The gate opened at 7:55 p.m., 14 minutes after the ambulance had first arrived. The paramedics reached Elias Thorne at 7:58 p.m. He was barely conscious. His condition had deteriorated significantly during the wait. Elias was stabilized at Hoag Hospital Irvine and kept for 4 days. His cardiologist documented the delay in the official medical report. The delay allowed his condition to progress to a point that required a much more aggressive intervention. That medical report was submitted to the Orange County Fire Authority as part of their incident review. It was also forwarded to the Orange County District Attorney's Office by the responding paramedic unit. They included a full written account of the gate obstruction and the names of every person present. Eleanor Higgins posted her footage online that same night. She posted it without a caption because she felt the video did not need one. She was right. By the following morning, it had 2 million views. By the afternoon, it was on 3 national news networks. Every local California station that could get a satellite truck to Orchard Hills Drive had one parked outside the Shady Canyon Estates gate. The gate that Brenda Vance had stood in front of for 8 minutes was now on television across the entire country. Then came the part that buried her completely. Elias's attorney pulled the HOA billing records. They found exactly what Elias had been saying for 3 months. The $950 charge was a duplicate assessment applied in error to his account. The board had received his written dispute on October 14th. They sent a reply acknowledging it and promising a review within 30 days. That review had never happened because Brenda had placed it in a pending file on her desk and left it there permanently. The account she used to justify blocking an ambulance was not even a legitimate debt. It was a paperwork error she refused to fix and weaponized against a 61-year-old man having a heart attack. The Orange County District Attorney filed criminal charges against Brenda Vance the following week. The charge was obstruction of emergency services, a serious offense under California Penal Code 148A1. Her HOA lanyard did not appear anywhere in the statute. The Shady Canyon Estates HOA board held an emergency meeting 48 hours after the criminal charges were filed. They removed Brenda unanimously. They released a public statement acknowledging the incident. They confirmed the $950 balance had been a billing error and announced the charge was reversed. The statement did not mention Brenda by name. Everyone in Orange County already knew exactly who had stood at that gate. The civil lawsuit Eliza's attorney filed named Brenda personally and the Shady Canyon Estates HOA board as a collective body. It cited obstruction of emergency services, negligent billing practices, and the documented medical impact of the delay. The HOA's insurance carrier reviewed the filing and immediately separated from Brenda. They made it clear her actions fell outside any coverage the board could reasonably claim. Two board members who had been aware of the unresolved dispute and took no action were named in the filing as well. The California state legislature opened a formal review of HOA gate access laws within 30 days of the incident. This followed immense pressure from advocacy groups and a petition signed by 400,000 people. The review specifically examined whether HOA boards should have any authority to restrict emergency vehicle access for any reason. The answer the review produced was not complicated at all. Brenda Vance entered a guilty plea on the obstruction charge 8 months after her arrest. She was sentenced to 2 years of probation, mandatory community service, and a permanent ban from HOA leadership. She can never serve in any HOA leadership role in the state of California again. The civil case settled shortly after for an amount that covered Elias's medical bills, legal fees, and severe punitive damages. The damages reflected what 8 minutes at a gate had actually cost a 61-year-old man and his wife. Brenda sold her home at Shady Canyon Estates before the probation period even began. The gate on Orchard Hills Drive opened without hesitation the morning she left. This story reminded you that a title and a clipboard should never stand between a person and an ambulance. Share this video. And if you or someone you love has been mistreated by an HOA board that confused authority with humanity, drop your story in the comments. See you on the next one, right here on Care and Conflict.